Welcome everyone to this exciting webinar as part of the India Studies series that we started 4 years back in 2021. Now we are in 2025. It's an amazing journey and another journey that we are going to witness today by Professor Pritha Chakraborty, who is going to speak about the journey of Ganga, one of the holiest rivers of the world, probably the holiest river in India. All rivers are holy in India, as we know. But Ganga has a special status. So when we hear the name Ganga, something happens to us. It's part of our DNA. Without further ado, I'll read her bio and invite her more. So you listen to her directly, not from me. Dr. Pritha Chakraborty earned her PhD in English literature from the IIT Kanpur, Indian Institute of Technology in Kanpur, UP. Her research spans critical cultural studies, religious studies, and environmental humanities, with a particular focus on South Asian religions, Indian religions, folklore, and literature. She examines the intersection of nature and culture, exploring how religion, folklore, and literary fiction represent the entanglements between humans and non-humans. Through her interdisciplinary work, she foregrounds how cultural narratives shape, reflect, and challenge our understanding of the more than human world. That's nice, more than human world. Her research on the folk texts of Bengal and Bangladesh, as well as the oral narratives of riverine communities, has been published in prestigious journals, including Religion and South Asia, Journal of South Asian Studies. In 2025, she was awarded the C.D. Narasimhaiah Prize by the Association for Commonwealth Literature and Language Studies in India, IACLALS, long acronym, for her research on Bhatiyali songs, Bengali folk songs, Bhatiyali songs, that she will share more details soon. Bhatiyali songs and her reflections on riverbank erosion in West Bengal. Probably I don't think any other webinar I was looking forward to as today's webinar. So all yours, Professor Chakraborty, most welcome, and I'll make your image as a full screen so everyone can see you as you present. Thank you so much. Welcome. Most welcome.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Professor Jain, for your words and your encouragement. I would like to thank you for giving me this opportunity to present my work in front of this prestigious India Studies webinar that you have, and to present this work itself in front of so many academicians and scholars who are across the world. It really means a lot, and I will try my best to engage and tell all the stories that I have been able to collect through the 5 years of my doctoral research. So I would share the screen. Just let me know if it's visible.
Not yet.
Not yet? Okay, just a second.
Yes. Yes. Perfect. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Good evening, everyone. The title of my talk is Tripathagamini Ganga, the intersectional flows of the river in Indian mythology, fiction, and experiential narratives. So I will be presenting on the mythical, cultural, and literary significance of the River Ganga in Indian cultural and literary traditions through various narratives. So as I move forward, I would like to begin the presentation with Pandita Jagannatha's Ganga Lahiri, a small shlok from there. If in this world you, Ganga, being the fulfiller of desires, are alert, then let Brahma enter into eternal meditation without any care. Let Vishnu happily sleep on Adishesha. Let Shiva dance continuously. There is no need for rites of atonement. There is no need for meditation, charity, and sacrifice. So this few lines sort of brings together how we feel about the Ganga. So if it is said in the Purans that in the Kali Yuga, everything will go away, it's only the Ganga will remain. And the day Ganga vanishes, the Kali Yuga will end and Kalki will enter to re-emerge to put the world into water again, from which a new world will begin again. So from water, we rise, into water we go. And Tripathagamini is where it leads us to. So of the many names of the Ganga, I would just like to say that Tripathagamini is something that I punched together. So Tripathaga and Triloka Pathagamini are two adjectives that is used to address the river to denote the way she traverses the three worlds. So I combine.
Sorry, your screen again is not appearing. Please screen show again.
Is it coming now?
No, sorry. It was coming and then it stopped. Not any. Right now, it's not.
I will just stop sharing and
Yeah. Yes. 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 Now it's fine.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll just change once, see if it's changing, right?
Yes.
Okay. So these are some of the names with which Ganga is addressed. She is popularly known as Bhagirathi because the king Bhagirath did penance to bring the river to earth. And she is also known as Hara Vallabha, the one who is loved or beloved to Hara, that is Shiva. She is Tarakari Janani, that is which is Kartikeya, the son of Shiva, and she is supposedly the womb in which Kartikeya was first conceived because Parvati was not able to conceive him. Then we have Sagar Atmaja Tarika as the liberator of the 60,000 sons of Sagara who were reduced to ashes due to the curse of sage Kapila. And then Jannavi because she emerged from the ear of the sage Janu. Then she is also known as Shankari, the one who belongs to Shankara, that is Shiva. Then Vishnu Padavaja Sambhuta, the one who emerged from the lotus feet of Vishnu. She is also known as Vishnupati. Then we have Bhavapatni as the wife of Shiva and Bhishma Matri, the mother of Bhishma. So I have taken there are actually 108 names of Ganga. These are just a few names that I have taken up from the Ganga Ashtottara Shatanam. So the Ganga is believed to absolve the accumulated sins and cleanse a person's soul. For believers, the sacred is manifested in the very structure of the world and of cosmic phenomena. The Ganga, in that sense, is not just a river, but is a goddess and a sacred threshold that promises passage to the realms of divinity, a perception that celebrates death as liberation. Thus, the myths of the river not only aid in the construction and manifestation of divinity attached to the river, but also lead to the construction of a shared Hindu collective identity that is forged to the concept of tirtha, that is pilgrimage, where sacred sites are believed to be endowed with divine powers that can lead one with salvation. Hence, out of the three paths of river, in the first path, I will walk you through the many myths of the river that have contributed to her manifestation as the goddess of liberation. So in this section, I will first talk about some of the myths and how those myths are central in shaping our Hindu lives. And so the major myths of the rivers could be classified as her origins, then her descent, the curbing of her pride, and her marriage with the king Shantanu and the birth of Bhishma, the birth of Kartikeya, and the lesser known are stories like Ganga and Krishna, which is a love story that remains incomplete, and then Ganga as the liquid essence of Vishnu and Ganga as Kutila. So in this paper, I would like to focus on the lesser known myths or variants of myths of the Ganga that underline the mythical significance of the river in shaping our spiritual perspectives. The story of Bhagiratha bringing Ganga to earth is the most celebrated and often represented one. However, in the Mahabharata, we find a unique narrative surrounding Ganga's descent, which revolves around the draining of the ocean and its subsequent filling up by the river. The Kalakeya demons, who were terrorizing the sages and Brahmins, are said to fled into the ocean when they were attacked by Indra. From the safety of the ocean's depth, they then tormented the penitents. On Vishnu's counsel, the gods sought out Rishi Agastya and entreated him to drain the ocean. The sage easily gulped down the whole ocean and helped the gods vanquish the demons. However, things got complicated when he was unable to fill up the ocean as he had already digested it. Hence, the descent of Ganga was essential for filling up the dry ocean bed. Therefore, when Bhagiratha brought Ganga from the heavens, she not only provided liberation to the 60,000 souls of his ancestors, but also redeemed the whole world from despair by filling up the ocean bed. It is interesting to note here that the ocean, which according to the myth is filled with the waters of the Ganga, is also considered her husband. The idea of the ocean as the husband of the rivers is also repeated several times in the Rig Veda, where the ocean is addressed to as the lord of the rivers, which makes him a figure of respect and authority to the rivers. The narrative may be associated with the water cycle, and the myth defines the endless succession of clouds, rain, snow, and glacial melt that emerges into rivers, lakes, or the ocean. The representation of Ganga filling up the ocean is also a reflection of a core Hindu philosophy surrounding the aspect of personhood or the Atman as described in the Prashna Upanishad. According to the Prashna Upanishad, it says that as the flowing rivers that tend towards the ocean, on reaching the ocean disappear, their name and form, that is the Namarupa, are destroyed, and it is called simply the ocean. Even so, of this spectator, these 16 parts that tend towards the person, on reaching the person disappear, their name and form are destroyed, and it is simply called the person. That one continues without parts, immortal. In a similar manner, as the Puranas state that Ganga and Vishnu are also inseparable, in the Devi Bhagavatam and the Bhagavat Puran, the origin and descent of Ganga are intrinsically connected to attaining Vaikuntha, the abode of Vishnu. Ganga is the manifestation of Vishnu himself as he declares, O unblemished one, I am the fourth ashrama and the first varna. Among tirthas and rivers that flow, I am Ganga. This is in Bhagavat Puran, Canto 11. Similarly, the distinction between the ocean and the river is also erased, thereby assimilating the Prakriti, the feminine principle associated with matter and action, and the Purusha, that is the male consciousness or the soul. Though the ocean is the lord of the rivers, without the rivers, the ocean is rendered dry and immaterial. In the same way, Purusha, be it Shiva or Vishnu, is incomplete without Prakriti, their female counterparts. There is another interesting account narrated in the Brahma Vaivarta Puran and the Devi Bhagavatam about the genesis of the river. According to it, once all the gods, including Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, had come together to Vaikuntha. At this assembly, Shiva started singing a raga, and it was so touching that everyone along with the singer started crying and transformed into water. As a result, Vaikuntha was flooded. This liquid essence of all the gods is Ganga, which is collected in Brahma's Kamandalu, or the sacred pot. In another story, narrated in the Vaman Puran, the origin of Ganga is associated with Vishnu's reincarnation as Vaman Trivikrama Avatar. In the story, the righteous demon king, Bali, conquered the gods and ruled over the three worlds. To help the gods and restore the balance of the celestial worlds, Vishnu reincarnates as the dwarf Brahmin Vamana and asks Vali for a portion of land that he can cover in 3 strides. Unaware of Vaman's true identity, Vali agrees. Vaman then appeared in his cosmic form, and with his first 2 steps, he covered earth and heaven. And as he prepared to take his 3rd step, with which he pushed Bali to the underground, his big toe ruptured the lining in the space from which emerged Ganga, washing his feet and descending on earth in 7 branches. Since then, Ganga came to be known as Vishnupadi, the one who emerged from Vishnu's lotus feet, and is considered an important site of pilgrimage. Another account of Ganga's origin is found in the Devi Bhagavatam, which narrates a different version of the Vishnupadi myth. In this myth, Radha caught Ganga and Krishna flirting in Goloka. Scared, the beautiful Ganga became a river, upon which Radha decided to swallow her. To protect Ganga, Krishna hid her under his feet. As a result, the heavens dried up, causing the gods to despair because they could not quench their thirst without Ganga. The gods then prayed to Radha and reminded her that Ganga was in fact her own part, as Radha Krishna had transformed into water upon hearing Shiva's song at a different time in the past. Radha calmed down and allowed Ganga to flow out of Krishna's feet, therefore again earning her the name Vishnupadi. The reference to Ganga being called Kutila is linked to the Ganga Vatarana myth, when Shiva buffers her fall by capturing her in his matted locks. According to the story, initially Ganga did not wish to leave Vaikuntha to go on earth and wash the sins of humanity. She decided to destroy earth through her torrential fall. When Shiva agreed to break her fall, Ganga, in her pride, thought that she would drag Shiva to the underworld. The amused Shiva then captured Ganga in his locks and released her only when she let go of her ego, thereby liberating the river that liberates us. So, Ganga is an essential part of both the Shaiva and Vaishnava traditions. So, according to Hendrik von Stetenkorn, who classifies the major myths of Ganga into the Shaiva and Vaishnava traditions, according to him, the myth of Ganga's descent on earth has its origin in the Shaiva tradition when the event of Ganga's descent is found in the Gangavatarana myth, which deals extensively with Ganga's descent and the curbing of her pride by Shiva. In the Vaishnava tradition, the descent of the river is embedded in the Vamana Trivikrama tradition, the descent of where Ganga emerges from the feet of Vishnu. Vishnu's association with Ganga is also emphasized in the Devi Bhagavata and Brahma Vaivarta Puran, where the river is addressed as the liquid essence of Vishnu. According to Stetenkorn, the Shaiva version emphasizes mankind striving for redemption, which is fulfilled after prolonged asceticism, a quality that is aligned with Shiva. The Shaiva myth emphasizes Ganga's role in paving the way for penance and austerities, which are required for redemption. Ganga's association with death is strongly emphasized in the Shaiva tradition, where the image of Ganga as Tripathaga, the one who wanders across the three worlds, heaven, earth, and the underworld, and her association with Shiva and the moon secures her the position with rituals of death. The moon is considered the abode of the ancestors, and its position on Shiva's head transforms Shiva as a deity associated with death, and the Pitralok, with the Pitras, the ancestors. As Ganga is positioned on the head of Shiva, she is closely associated with the moon, thereby transforming her water into the essence of moon and Shiva himself. On the other hand, the Vaishnava account of the descent of Ganga has nothing to do with man, his death, or his salvation. It relates to a cosmic happening as a side effect of the incarnation of Vishnu as Vamana. The myth highlights Vishnu's relation to cosmic events and intends to establish him as a god who stands apart, the eternal onlooker, timeless, as well as helper, savior, and redeemer. In the Vaishnava version, redemption is not achieved by individual effort, but is rather the result of grace and charity and signs of presence of an overwhelming, mighty deity. Ganga here plays a crucial role in not only establishing the might of the presiding deity, that is Vishnu, but also provides humanity with a direct contact with him. As a result, one observes that Ganga not only serves as a direct link between humanity and divinity, but also becomes a critical link in bringing the Shaiva and Vaishnava cults within the purview of Puranic Hinduism as it attempted to assimilate various sects. Now, contrary to Ganga's repetitive associations with death and liberation, there is also an interesting association of Ganga with life. By analyzing certain yogic traditions, it is found that Ganga and Yamuna could also represent the nadis or the energy channels, Ida and Pingala, respectively, while the central channel, Sushumna, is represented by the Saraswati. Ida is associated with the moon and the left side of the body. Similarly, Ganga is positioned with the moon on Shiva's head, and she also originates from the left foot of Vishnu. Yamuna, on the other hand, is a daughter of sun and hence is placed on the right. Ida, Pingala, and Sushumna are the three primary nadis or energy channels in yogic tradition, which is essential for physical and spiritual well-being. Ida and Pingala balances the passive and active forces in the body, mind, and our breath. Sushumna is the central channel, which is the path through which the Kundalini energy ascends when Ida and Pingala are purified and balanced. Like rivers, Ida and Pingala navigate through our body, charting the course of our actions. Therefore, the body of the enlightened human represents the Triveni, the sacred meeting spot of three rivers. This leads one to spiritual liberation or moksha and self-realization. Even if one considers the physical manifestations of the river, the Ganga flows on the left and the Yamuna on the right side of the Doab as they flow towards their conjunction in Allahabad. This indicates the profound impact of Ganga in yogic traditions that combine the mythical and the geographical to create a perception that revolves around the control of the body and its senses. Now, moving beyond the Puranic association of the river with death and salvation, there are several regional myths of the Ganga that highlight how different cultures adopted the river in their rituals and traditions. To demonstrate how Ganga is depicted in diverse cultural and geographical areas, I'll talk a bit about her depiction in Bengali religious texts known as the Mangalkavyas. What is interesting to note here is that the popular perception of the Ganga's sacred manifestations remained limited to Gangotri to Varanasi. During my PhD, I realized that most people are not aware of the Ganga's influence in Bengal's religious and cultural networks. One reason for this is possibly because the river bifurcates into the Hooghly, which flows through West Bengal, and the Padma, which flows through Bangladesh. The Hooghly River is locally known as the Hooghly Bhagirathi and is believed to be the branch of the river that Bhagiratha led to Sagardi, also known as Ganga Sagar, for liberating his ancestors. So in this section, I'll draw out the religio-cultural significance of Ganga in Bengal through a discussion of her representations in the Mangalkavyas. So the Mangalkavyas are an integral part of the indigenous religious literature of Bengal. These sectarian texts emerged during the 13th to the 18th century, possibly in response to the Turkish conquest of Bengal in 1204. Situated at the cusp of oral and written traditions, these texts served a dual purpose. They stabilized local myths, legends, customs, and traditions associated with the deity by documenting them in the written form. Simultaneously, they disseminated these customs and traditions to broader audiences through oral performances, thus bridging the gap between literate and non-literate communities. The significance of Ganga in the Mangalkavyas emerges from the river's intimate relationship with the community, as she has been an integral part of the folk rituals of birth, marriage, and ritual worship. The Mangalkavyas exemplify the dynamic synthesis between the little and great traditions in medieval Bengali literature, integrating Puranic deities with indigenous folk divinities in a process that transcends hierarchical distinctions. The little traditions comprises varied animistic belief systems, local goddess cults, and tribal practices rooted in oral transmissions rather than scriptural authority, and interacted fluidly with the great traditions which trace their lineage to the Vedic and Puranic texts. This integration was not merely incorporative but transformative, as seen in the evolution of folk deities like Chandi, Manasa, Shitala, who were reimagined within the Puranic frameworks while retaining their local character and appeal. On the other hand, Puranic deities like Shiva and Ganga are localized to make them more relatable to the socio-cultural milieu of Bengal. The Mangalkavyas thus served as cultural bridges, legitimizing indigenous religious practices by weaving them into the broader Hindu cosmology, creating composite deities that could simultaneously fit into Brahminical and popular devotional traditions. This synthesis reflects the organic nature of Bengali religious culture, where scriptural and non-scriptural traditions coexisted and mutually enriched each other, demonstrating that the distinction between the little and great traditions represents complementary rather than competing worldviews. Now, Ganga appears as a crucial character across the most famous Mangalkavyas dedicated to Manasa and Chandi. In fact, it will not be incorrect to claim that Manasa, Ganga, and Chandi form the Tridevi of West Bengal's Hindu religious traditions. The tripartite relationship between Manasa, Chandi, and Ganga is depicted in the Manasa Mangalkavya as well as the Chandi Mangalkavya. There is also a Mangalkavya dedicated to Ganga herself, which is known as the Ganga Bhakti Tarangini, composed by Durga Prasad Mukhopadhyay in the 18th century. The stories depict Ganga as Shiva's wife, thus making her Chandi's co-wife, while Manasa is represented as his illegitimate daughter. Across the Manasa Mangalkavya, Ganga acts as Manasa's aide, protecting her from the wrath of her stepmother Chandi. While in the Chandi Mangalkavya, Ganga acts as a catalyst in establishing Chandi's worship among the lower caste Antajas and tribal communities of Bengal. Thus, Ganga becomes a crucial link in bringing the popular goddesses closer to the local population. Ganga Bhakti Tarangini is the only extant Mangalkavya dedicated to Ganga. The text beautifully captures the various myths of the Ganga and situates it within the culture and local ethos of erstwhile undivided Bengal. Mukhopadhyay's Ganga Bhakti Tarangini highlights how the myth of Ganga was still evolving and circulating during the height of British rule in India. The intersections of the myth with the social and cultural context of Bengal creates an image of the river which is steeped in the local traditions of Bengal. The text begins with a description of Ganga directing the poet through his wife to compose a poem in her honor, which will extol the importance of treating women with dignity. At the very beginning, she declares, "Whoever respects women, I bless them with happiness and salvation, and one who disrespects them disrespects me." The text then goes on to narrate the various Puranic myths of the Ganga through conversations between Vashishta, Bhagiratha, and Ganga herself. Vashishta narrates to Bhagiratha the story of Ganga's birth to King Himalaya and his wife Menaka, and after the self-immolation of Sati, Shiva's first wife, that Ganga was born to bring the grieving Shiva back to the householder's life for the welfare of the world. Unlike the other stories of her origin, this narrative is elaborated to highlight the Leela of Ganga, where she is depicted as an essence of the primordial divine feminine energy, locally known as Adda Shakti Mahamaya. Now, as the text is very much associated with women, it elaborately describes the stages of a woman's life through the portrayal of Ganga from infancy to adulthood. It becomes evident that the poet's intention was not to position Ganga simply as a religious figure, but also to position her within the cultural ethos of Bengal. Starting from the ceremony of Menoka Shad or baby shower ceremony and Ganga's Mukhe Bhat, that is the first rice ceremony where children are given the first morsels when they are weaning from mother's milk, celebrates Ganga as infant, and then we move forward to Ganga's games with her friends, and the text traces the growing up of Ganga through everyday events. Eventually, the next step was to portray Ganga as a woman. Therefore, Durga Prasad very beautifully set up a background for Ganga's marriage with Shiva. The wedding between Shiva and Ganga, which is not a part of the Puranic narratives, is the most elaborate episode of the text. The uniqueness of Ganga Bhakti Tarangini lies in the way in which the poet has narrated the love and longing of Shiva for the pristine and beautiful Ganga. There is also a unique story related to Ganga's descent that can be found in the Ganga Bhakti Tarangini and Kritivash Ojha's Ramayana. So in this narrative, while answering the pleas of Bhagiratha, Ganga comes down from Mount Sumeru. Her path was blocked by huge boulders. As a result, Ganga swirled around in the crevice for millions of years. She then requests Bhagirath to bring the divine elephant, Airavata, whose tusks can tear apart the rocks, allowing her to emerge from the mountains. Bhagiratha rushes to Indra's abode and requests Airavat's assistance in making way for Ganga. However, possessed by pride, Airavata tells Bhagiratha that he will only help on the condition that Ganga spends the night with him as his slave. Ashamed and hurt, Bhagiratha turns to Ganga and informs her of Airavat's condition. Ganga smiles and tells him to inform Airavat that if he can endure the force of her 2.5 waves, she will spend the night with him. Airavat, in his pride, agrees and tears open the mountain, and as soon as he is struck by one mighty wave of Ganga, he loses his balance and falls, becomes breathless as the water enters his mouth and nose. By the second wave, he almost drowns and begs her to show mercy by addressing Ganga as his mother. Ganga holds her waves and Airavat runs away, ashamed and humbled. So in the image, I have a Kalighat painting that is stored in the Cleveland Museum of Art, which shows Ganga humbling Airavat and Bhagirath leading Ganga away with a conch. So he blows a conch and Ganga follows the sound of the conch. Now there is another very famous narrative that is performed across the villages of Bengal, which is locally known as Durga Gangar Kondol, or the quarrel between Ganga and Durga for the love of their husband Shiva. So Shiva in Bengal is a farmer, and as a householder, most of his marital woes arise because of the jealousy of his two beloved wives, Durga and Ganga. Durga is also known as Chandi in these narratives. The story is performed across villages in the form of Pottochitro, which are scrolls where the stories are painted, and as they open the scroll, the singers will sing the song of the event, and they will keep on opening the scroll. So the artists and performers of these sacred scrolls belong to the Chitrakar community, who are predominantly Muslim by faith. Yet, their artistic practice creates a fascinating example of Bengal's religious syncretism. As Potua artists, these skilled crafts people seamlessly navigate dual identities, maintaining their Islamic beliefs while serving as devoted chroniclers and performers of Bengal's Hindu religious traditions, particularly the stories of goddesses like Chandi, Monasha, Durga, and Ganga. This unique positioning demonstrates how religious boundaries became remarkably fluid in Bengal's cultural landscape, where Muslim artists could earn their livelihood by painting Hindu deities and singing devotional songs about goddesses without any sense of contradiction or conflict. Now, moving forward from the spiritual and mythical realms, we enter the corporeal realms where Ganga is a source of livelihood. The narratives in this section are collected through fieldwork in order to document the oral testimonies of boatmen and fishermen communities across Varanasi, Malda, and the Sundarbans. So the first part, the children of the Ganga, is about the Nishads. So they are the boatmen community of Varanasi who identify themselves as Nishad by caste and belong to the OBC category. Their primary occupation is ferrying passengers across the Ganga alongside fishing and agriculture on the eastern banks of the river. So the Nishads have a genealogical narrative that makes them the direct descendants of the Ganga. We are Ganga Putras. Ganga is our mother. She gave birth to us and provided us with livelihood, was something that was repeatedly emphasized by the Nishads I spoke to. The story of their origins was narrated by an elderly boatman, which related them as the elder brothers of Bhishma. So, according to the story, which was told by a boatman known as Bablu Nishad. So these are the people with whom I was conversing. So he says that this when Ganga was married Shantanu, and the seven Ashtavashus were supposed to be born to her, and she was to liberate them by drowning them in their waters. She did not drown the seven babies before Bhishma, which was taught by Shantanu. Rather, she wanted to nurture the kids on her own and teach them the like magical aspects that remain at their depths. So the Gangaputras believe that they have a skill of diving like 20-30 feet into the river and retrieving anything that lies within the riverbed. And that is taught to them by the goddess herself. And they say that Bhishma is their own brother and they are the Ganga's own bloodline. So the Nishads believe that they trace their lineage to these seven children who were not drowned but carried away by the Ganga, where she nurtured them and taught them their trade of boating and fishing in her waters. The Ganga is their mother and life source for them. It is based on this relationship with the river that they claim to be specialists in certain rituals associated with the river, the most prominent being the ritual of Bachcha Kudana or immersing a child in the river. The ritual begins when the prospective mother makes a promise to the river to conduct this ritual upon safe childbirth. When the child crosses infancy and remains healthy, the family goes to the Nishads, who first conduct a ritual offering of flowers, fruits, and sweets to the river, following which the officiating boatman takes the child and its family midstream and drops the child into the river, where another boatman will be waiting to catch the child. The boatman then picks up the child from the water and hands it over to the mother after receiving an adequate fee, or dakshina as they say. The motive behind the ritual is that when a woman wishes for a child from the Ganga, she binds the river in a promise that will protect the child, in return for which the mother propitiates the goddess by offering her the child when he or she reaches a proper age. And when the child is born, the family fulfills their part of the promise by donating their child to the river as a gesture of complete devotion and submission. It is believed that when the child returns to the mother, unharmed from the bed of the river, all misfortunes of the child would have been washed away by the Ganga. The Bachcha Khudana ritual highlights how a mythical narrative is adapted to elevate a community's occupation, which may have been underrepresented. The ritual adapts the liberatory aspect of the river to a life cycle ritual and locates the Nishad within it. When the mother casts her child in the river, it is an act that is symbolic of Ganga casting her own children in the river only to later liberate them from the bonds of mortality. Therefore, it is believed that when the mother casts her child in the river, it symbolically releases the child of its mortal afflictions and liberates it from any disease or pain. When the boatman picks up the child and hands it over to the mother, it signifies rebirth. The child is considered blessed by the Ganga and becomes one of the Ganga Putras, the child of the river herself. The whole ritual, the boatman acts on behalf of the Ganga and aids in the transformation from a symbolic death to a prosperous rebirth. The Nishads also assert their right to the river's resources through these stories, claiming an entitlement to collect coins and jewelry from the river's depths as an additional source of income. And given their skills that they can dive to such depths, they can retrieve the coins and the ornaments that the devotees drop in the river and say that because the Ganga is their mother and the property that goes to the mother is given to them by the mother herself. Now, moving forward, I would like to talk a bit about the narratives that I collected from the Sundarbans. So, Sundarbans is a delta that is formed by the Ganga Brahmaputra basin. And Ganga is one of the foremost rivers that has given birth to this deltaic region. So, in the Sundarbans, the proverb Jole Kumi Dangai Bag, meaning crocodile in water, tiger on land, not only reflects the constant coexistence of humans, tigers, and crocodiles along the rivers, but also embodies the spiritual worldview that perceives these creatures as supernatural beings engaged in the dance of fate. For the local communities, these rivers, especially the Ganga, are vital pathways for their life and livelihood, yet they are also realms where encounters with the unseen spiritual forces occur. There are stories of miraculous sightings, spectral apparitions, and mysterious movements that form personal memorates rooted in individual and collective experiences. These narratives reveal how the boundaries between material reality and spiritual domains are porous, with rivers serving as highways for both physical movement and divine intervention, where conflicts and coincidences are seen woven by the play of destiny rather than by mere chance. Such perceptions emphasize that the natural and the supernatural are intertwined in shaping the lived realities of local riverine communities, reflecting a worldview that accepts and venerates the mysterious, unpredictable forces at work in their environment. So, in the next slide, I'll be talking a bit about the direct narratives that I talked about. These are some of the pictures, and these are some of the people who gave their stories to me, and the delta and how it looks, and how the water shapes the lives of people there. So, there, Ganga lives the lives of men. So, Ganga is not just a goddess whom you put on a pedestal and worship once a year. She is a part of their everyday life. Every day, when boatmen go out of their homes, they pray to the goddess saying, "Oh, Ma Ganga, please today let me have a good catch and let me come back to home alive." So, for the boatmen and the fishermen of the Sundarbans Delta, Ganga is a patron deity. They call upon her as a mother and seek her blessings while starting a voyage. Upon further interactions with the men, it was found that the river acts as the safe harbor, as foraging for crabs and honey is a long process, often taking days to months. The men spend the night anchored in the middle of the river aboard their boats to remain protected from the tigers. She is like a mother's lap. We feel safe at peace, anchored within her waves, informs Sushujoy Das, who claimed to have foiled a tiger's attempt to maul him because of the goddess's blessings. For the men, their danger lurks in the forest in the form of a tiger, alongside the threat of violent storms and cyclones. Dhananjay Das, a third generation inhabitant from Doyapur village, narrated a tale of the Ganga where she acted as the guardian of the fishermen. According to his story, it is common knowledge that if one is faced with a storm while on the river, one should not try to fight the wind. Instead, they should pray to Ma Ganga to provide them with a safe passage. They should stop rowing their boats and let the river take them to the shore. For women of Sundarbans, the Ganga is also a familiar presence. They see the river goddess as one of their own. Ganga is a woman who had to leave her husband and children, a woman who is as helpless as ourselves, says Malati Das, who is a young widow with 2 children and whose husband was mauled by a tiger while he was out fishing. Her husband's boat was docked on the river away from the forest, yet the tiger carried him off in the forest. Rather than being angry, she empathizes with the river. The river, which is considered a safe space at night, failed to protect him. She explains that Ganga is like any other mother. She can save some of her children, whereas some she cannot save because of unforeseen reasons. Malati explained that this is the fate of mothers, be it themselves or the river. They try to protect their children, but if Vidhata or fate had decided otherwise, there is nothing that they can do. Malati therefore makes an association with the river through a shared sense of grief, indicating that the perils of a woman within the riverine ecosystem. And it also highlights that how humans connect with nature just beyond the human nature binaries. Rather, there is this sense of entanglement through which they associated with nature itself, making nature a part of human lives. The third section is about Ganga in the traditions of Bengali Muslims. And I would like to talk a bit about the ritual of Bera Bhashan in Murshidabad, which emerged from the lived experiences of the local Muslim fishing communities. So, at that region, whenever there is a flood, because it's a region prone to flooding and erosion, children drown a lot due to accidental drownings, and several children have died due to it. So the locals believe that the once gentle river has turned violent in revenge for being spurned by Khwaja Khijir, who is the peer of the oceans. So if you look even at the iconography of Khwaja Khijir and Ganga, you can see there are so much similarities between an Islamic figure or a Sufi figure who represents the oceans and the Hindu deity of the rivers. So within this Islamic perception of Bengal, Khwaja Khijir, the peer of oceans, and Ganga, or locally known as Gongima, are enmeshed in a love story and being jilted by her lover, who said that he will only marry her with Allah's permission one day, that she drowns children every day just to punish Khwaja. So the Muslims of Bengal have woven the veneration of the river goddess into their own devotional tapestry, demonstrating the region's inherently syncretic religious traditions. So, alongside Quranic prayers and peer veneration, they honor her by offering flowers, lamps, and humble supplications on the river's edge. This seamless blending of Islamic and indigenous belief blurs cultural and spiritual borders, reflecting Bengal's pluralistic ethos, where rivers themselves become living symbols of unity and shared faith. In the fourth part, the riverine heartlands of West Bengal and Bangladesh, despite being divided by political borders, remain unified by the River Ganga. Boatmen and fishermen of both countries still sing the same songs that their forefathers sang on the rivers of undivided Bengal. Bengal is a land of rivers. The landscape is shaped by the tides of the multiple rivers that wave through it to reach the Bay of Bengal. Ganga is the foremost of all these rivers in Bengal, because of which all the tributaries are addressed as Shatamukhi Ganga, that is the 100 mouths of Ganga. The Kaivarta and Namashudra communities of Malda follow a religion that is a mixture of mainstream Hinduism and popular folk religions. Songs are an essential part of the religious practice. Through their songs, the mystic poets of these popular sects mentioned above created a narrative that was a departure from the orthodox religious belief systems that represented the supreme being as extraneous and superior to the individual's body and soul. Rather, their songs humanize the divine, whose abode is the human heart, which is nested within the human body. These songs are similar to the philosophy of the Bhakti tradition. According to these sects, human knowledge is in knowing about one's own self, which is attained by overcoming the Shadarikus, or the 6 sins of lust, anger, greed, addiction, infatuation, and envy. The body becomes a sacred site through which one reaches the supreme being who resides in the heart, that is the Moner Manush. Therefore, the songs of these popular syncretic sects use the body and river as metaphors and thus are known as the songs of Dehatattva. The main goal of these songs is to bridge the gap between the body and the soul. These songs are a combination of the poet's experience, imagination, and observation drawn from their contemporary realities. The Bhatiyali songs of the fishing communities of Bengal merge the occupational and the experiential with the spiritual and the religious, thereby creating a representation of the river that highlights the intersection of materiality and spirituality. So here I will give some examples of Bhatiyali songs, which are in translations for aiding the understanding. Is this song visible, Professor Jain?
Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you. So this is a song which was sung by a folk singer, Utpal Haldar, and he informed that this Bhatiyali song falls under the category of Bhakti Geet, that is a devotional song around the river. The song addresses the river as the elusive river of life. The song addresses the river as the elusive river of life. She breaks the shore, she builds the other. In Bengali, it says, Ekul nodi ekul bhange, nodi okul gore, ei to nodir khela re bhai, ei to nodir khela. So this is the play of the river. She breaks the shore, she builds the other. It highlights the duality in the river's nature. The song connects the river's erosive nature with the uncertainties of human life and asks men to let go of their ego and pride in this world of impermanence. According to the singer, the song talks about the illusions of life. It reminds man that the cause of his despair is his moving away from God, that is the divine potter, to pursue material pleasures and other attachments. Bhatali's songs honor the river as a teacher. In the songs, the river represents life and its vagaries, while the boat is the body and the boatman the mind. The singers use simple images and metaphors drawn from their immediate surroundings to create the perception of the divine. A second song, that is a song by Lakhan Chandra Sutradhar, another folk singer from Malda, shares a similar image. This song is influenced by Lalon Giti, where songs associated with Lalon Foki talks about the spiritual corruption of man through imageries of river and boat. The river is represented as an unsafe way of passage, and the boatman is advised to row his boat very carefully. The river is epitomized as life itself and is full of dangers. The boat is one's own body crafted meticulously, but one small mistake can bring devastating consequences. However, unlike the accusatory tone we often find in some Bhatiyali songs, the singer asks a passing boatman to be cautious of the vices and illusions covering the river's stretch and protect one's body from spiritual corruption. The crocodiles not only depict the dangers faced by the boatman, but also represent the cunning and improper companions who can corrupt one's soul. Similarly, the 6 beautiful women the singer explained are the 6 vices, the Shararipus. Thus, the song not only describes the dangers of the river, but also directs the boatman to reach out to the spiritual mentor and cleanse his mind and soul before he embarks on the river of life. Typically, boatmen themselves compose these songs about their experiences on the river and the hardships they faced in their families, thereby creating a tradition that merges the material with the spiritual. These songs depict the supernatural and natural beauty surrounding the river, the descriptions of forlorn boatmen, their fishing boats, and seasonal changes, and the streams of rivers in the songs have been used to represent situations of love and loss. Finally, I move towards the third branch of the river, and I will talk about the fictional representations of river through a short discussion on Amitav Ghosh's Hungry Tide. So in Amitav Ghosh's Hungry Tide, the Ganga appears not in its familiar form, but as something which is very powerful. So, situated in the vast Sundarbans Delta, where the sacred river dissolves into countless channels before meeting into sea. So, we have this image that Ghosh writes in the beginning of the novel, which connects the myth and the geography and gives us a very beautiful depiction of how the river is depicted. Ghosh presents the river's aesthetic registers as beautiful, sublime, and uncanny, where each mode reveals different aspects of humanity's encounter with the river. The beautiful Ganga emerges in Ghosh's mythological framing of the river's descent. He writes, "In our legends, it is said that the goddess Ganga, descent from the heavens, would have split the earth had Lord Shiva not tamed her torrent by tying it into his ash-smeared locks. To hear this story is to see the river in a certain way as a heavenly braid. Sorry, excuse me. To hear this story is to see the river in a certain way as a heavenly braid, for instance, an immense rope of water unfurling through a wide and thirsty plain. This representation embodies the Kantian form of beauty, the harmonious purposive form that gives aesthetic pleasure through the imagination's free play. The beautiful Ganga also appears in Ghosh's poetic description of the deltaic islands as the trailing threads of India's fabric, the ragged fringe of her sari, the achol that follows her, half wetted by the sea. Here again, the river is unthreatening to the pursuits of man and remains as an aesthetic object from which one derives pleasure. The sublime emerges when the beautiful braid comes undone and the river throws off its bindings and separates into hundreds, maybe thousands of tangled strands. This moment of unfolding represents the Kantian sublime, the encounter with infinity that overwhelms the human comprehension while simultaneously elevating the perception of the viewer himself. The sublime Ganga manifests as pure power and vastness that threatens human attempts at control. Here, the river becomes what Kant describes as the dynamic sublime, where nature, as overwhelming might that simultaneously terrifies and elevates by revealing human limitations while affirming reason's capacity to conceive the infinite. The uncanny manifests when the familiar becomes strange and the homely becomes unhomely. That is the Freud's unheimlich. In the hungry tide, these occurs most powerfully when the river's dual nature as both nurturer and destroyer. The Sundarbans create what one critic calls bipolitical uncanny, the realization that humans are not sovereign but subject to nature's power. Now, when we have to read river fiction, we have to be very aware of the multiple and varied narratives of the river we find in India. So, while I was working with river fiction as the end strand of my thesis, I was constantly aware that the reading of river fictions necessitates an idiosyncratic literary methodology that will take into account the rhizomatic entanglements we share with water and also our non human cohabitants. So I also needed to acknowledge the material and spiritual intersections that define our relationship with nature. Hence, I use traditional ecological knowledge to assist my reading of The Hungry Tide. So, traditional ecological knowledge, commonly known as tech, is the culturally and spiritually based way in which indigenous people relate to their ecosystem. Tech takes into account that humans are part of the natural world and it is impossible to represent or imagine nature that is independent of humans and their activities. The Hungry Tide represents the intricate relationship between nature and humans within the backdrop of rivers Ganga and her many tributaries in the Sundarbans. The novel narrativizes the worldview of the riverine communities. As a result, Ghosh creates a nuanced approach of understanding the interconnectedness between human and the non-human beyond the Eurocentric perspective that often mars our perception of human nature entanglements. The depiction of the river from the perspective of the fishermen imbues the text with the understanding of how respect for the non-human is established through tech-based ethical representations of human non-human entanglements, as we see in the way the dolphins interact with the fishermen in the novel. The section highlights that fiction from the perspective of the margins enables in the creation of an animal subjectivity that looks at non-human life not merely as a thing, but as a living, breathing entity. It combines aspect from animality and animism to arrive at a juncture where scientific objectivity is combined with religious belief. And river, as the connecting thread between the human and the non-human, plays an integral role in shaping the perception of traditional ecological knowledge. Ultimately, tech-based understanding of nature intends to destabilize the hierarchy of man over nature by emphasizing nature's duality. Communities who are living with nature It highlights how communities who are living with nature persistently need to change and rearrange their habits and customs in accordance with the natural resources available to them, thereby making them change along with the changes in nature itself. In Ghosh's Hungry Tide, the Ganga is portrayed as a dynamic, untamable force that transcends human domination, belonging as much to the indigenous people and their fragile ecosystems as much as to the Bengal tiger and the Irrawaddy dolphin. Throughout the novel, the river's shifting currents and hidden channels remind readers that human ambitions are ultimately fleeting against nature's vast design. By interweaving the lives of boatmen, conservationists, and wildlife within the estuarine landscape, Ghosh cultivates in us a profound sense of humility before the river's might, underlining that in the Sundarbans, mastery over nature is an illusion and coexistence is the only sustainable choice. With this, I will end my presentation here. Thank you everyone to listening.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
As expected, it was extremely rich in details with thick descriptions, as the famous anthropologist has described. Let's invite any questions. There was so much to learn, and I think we are still digesting all the information, but let's open the floor for any question anyone has. Can type or can raise hand and unmute yourselves and ask questions directly also. So I'll invite everyone to join and ask you questions. So did you also enter Bangladesh by any chance while you were doing field work?
Every time I plan to go, something or the other happens there. But yes,
Okay.
I'm in contact with professors in Dhaka University.
Okay.
They are the one who take pictures of the manuscripts and send to be like.
Right, very nice. Super. Okay, Professor Nilima Shukla Bhatt from Wellesley College in Boston, USA, has a question. So please go ahead and you can, yeah.
Oh, hello. Uh, Thank you so much. This was a fantastic and so rich presentation.
Thank you,
So
Professor.
I am really grateful. My question to you is that uh, do any environmental issue that we are facing now is like appearing in any of the narratives that you found uh, among the folk cultures of Bengal?
Hmm.
Especially with reference to Bengal, I would like to iterate that when I was working with the Bhatiyali songs, though these songs came up as the Shondha Bhasha of like religious songs, but today, as of now, these are being used by environmental activists in the region to document or to add testimonies to the erosion that is happening there. So I did field in a region known as Ponchanandapur, and around like 3 lakhs people from that region has been devastated because of the erosive nature of the river. 70 villages are under the river. And these people, most of them have migrated to cities. They are working as daily wage laborers, and many of them are just lying there in the embankments with makeshift tents. And when you listen to their songs, they still sing the songs of the Ganga and the Podda, and they sing as like so. In this presentation, I just used the Bhakti Giti, but
Yeah.
now working with the people, I also realized that the newly composed songs are not really Bhakti Giti. So those I have classified as Bhangon Giti, the song erosion. So in those songs, they talk about political apathy, they talk about dams, they talk about how the river, who was once like a playful child, has turned like the hungry putana, and is it because of man that doesn't. So in the Bhakti Giti, they talk about how, like, look at erosion, it is a teaching aspect, learn from erosion, everything is impermanent. In Bhangon Giti, that suddenly changes that this impermanence is not for us to attain liberation. This impermanence is injustice. So that is also there. That aspect comes very prominently in the Bhatiyali songs that I worked on with the Malda community. As far as it goes to the Varanasi aspect, there also the aspect of pollution comes up, and it's
Yeah.
much complicated. So I read an article. I think it's by Diana Eck or Kelly. It's about Ganga and Gandagi. So
Kelly
um,
Ali, that's Kelly Ali. Yes, yes.
yes. So like I read that article and I went there, and it is so much like there. So there are um, animal corpses floating in the river. There are plastics here and there. Though it has like the first time I visited Varanasi was in 2020, and when I visited it again in 2023, there was a lot of changes because the Nishad community are taking a lot of effort to clean the Ganga. And but this perception of gandagi and being dirty and being apavitra, that is impurity. So the Ganga is Ganga is dirty. It can be reversed, but the Ganga can never be impure. That is
Right.
Yeah.
the
Oh, wow.
so
That's
that
beautiful.
is something that also came up in my research with the like Dome and the Nishad community, especially.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Here is
much.
a link for that book that you just referred to by Kelly Ali. I'm putting in because this is
It's an
part of my
article.
research also. Okay, this is a whole book on this here. This whole
I
book by same author.
book. It was an article, Ganga and Gandagi.
Right, right. But I'm saying this is a whole book by the same author, which I
There
just
is also a
said.
book. I have also read the book. There is also a book.
When the wastewater meets the sacred, that's the I don't know. On the banks of the Ganga, when wastewater meets a sacred river. Because my PhD topic was very similar to yours, so we have some common citations. All right, I think thank you. It was very good point. I think this book, There Are Rivers in the Sky by Elif Shafak, would relate it to. So there is a suggestion you can read yourself. Professor Chakraborty.
Yes, the sky. I have it in my book list. I need to purchase it. I will surely. I'm in the plans of reading it. Thank you.
Yeah, this one I didn't know, but Kelly Ali. Okay. Anyone else? Do you plan to continue your research further, or you're done with all the data and information? Now you have to publish all this.
I think researching on Ganga is going to take me this lifetime. So, the lifetime project, I collect all the songs. So, there is already a book available on the songs of Gangotri to Haridwar. So, I want to do a similar one from Varanasi to the Ganga Sagar. And if my fate allows me, if my Vidhata allows me, I might go to the Bangladesh side and the songs of the
Oh, wow.
Podda.
What is this word podda? I never heard this word podda.
So
What is podda?
Ganga and Podda are sister branches. Podda is
Podda. Okay.
it moves away from Malda. So the river
Okay.
from Malda and goes towards Bangladesh, where it merges with the Brahmaputra River, which is known as Jamuna there, and the Meghna River, and they together form the like deltaic region of the Bangladesh area. And from here,
World's largest delta.
yeah,
World's biggest delta. What's the meaning of the word podda?
Podda means lotus.
Oh, Padma say. I think from Padma it became
Padma,
podda.
yeah. So Padma is also the name for Manasa, the serpent goddess.
Manasa.
Yeah. And
Okay.
so it's interesting to see that Ganga is the stepmother of Manasa, and she is the only mother apart from Chandi who loves Manasa. So,
Okay.
like if you look at the map, she is attached to Ganga, and she's like the rivers together are like the Ganga and Padma cohabitation that happens. Even in the Monosha Mongol Kabbo, we see that Padma, like Manasa and Ganga, are always interacting with each other to decide what they want to do next. So it's something, let's see, if that is something that I have been planning. If I can find something on that, the songs of Padma as such, I haven't found yet, but I'm sure Bangladesh will have a lot of resources on it.
That would be amazing. Hopefully, it will be safer for you still to.
Hopefully,
Yeah,
sometime.
Bangladesh was much safer earlier, but now, yeah, it would be It would be really enriching for all of us if you can discover those stories and write and publish. Oh, it will be so much enriching for all of us. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So, did you see? Speaking of the environmental issues now, maybe pollution. Did you see? What was your? Because you traveled so widely, apparently from Gangotri all the way to Ganga Sagar. Did you see any level of difference of pollution? What you might see in, let's say, heavy crowded cities in North India compared to Bangladesh or Bengal, where you come from? So any comparative observations that you would
Kanpur
maybe share?
was very polluted.
Sorry? Kanpur, yes. Oh, you went to Kanpur as well.
Kanpur.
Wow.
I was doing my PhD in
Okay.
IIT Kanpur.
Oh,
So,
yeah, IIT Kanpur, right? IIT Kanpur, yes, of course.
so
Of course.
I first intended to start the work from Kanpur, but then this whole aspect of leather factories and
Yeah.
Muslim motives comes up. So I wanted to first understand, like from the Hindu perspective, and then bring in other religious perspectives in it. So I am slowly engaging with the Muslim narratives. I started with the Muslim narratives of river in Bengal. So because in Kanpur, if I have to address the river, I have to take
Yes.
into account the Muslim leather workers' narratives
Yes.
that until and unless I have a whole overview of how the river functions
Yes.
and the pollution aspects and how it is. So Kanpur in that sense was dirty. Even Malda, not the Malda area, but the area where I live, Shamnagar, Barakpur area, those areas are also pretty much dirty. It's polluted because there are a lot of factories around in Bengal, which creates a lot of filth. And again, in the Sundarbans, it's again very clean but then again, it's because of the vastness. But at the Hooghly part, where it comes down after the Farakka barrage and all, it starts getting very filthy in that sense. So, environment, apart from Varanasi, I haven't seen a drastic change in the river's health in the last 5 years that I have been going to and fro in the Ganga. Apart
So
from, yes,
5 years you've been tracing Ganga for last 5 years. So,
yes, I go to
wow.
Uttarakhand. I have been going to Uttarakhand. I have been going to Varanasi. Varanasi, I don't know. I have gone numerous times. Sundarbans numerous times. Malda 4 5 times. So I have been like
Wow.
traveling. So the whole idea is now to cover Jharkhand, Bihar,
Oh,
and
wow, yes.
then
So
Bangladesh.
you are saying that Uttarakhand, it's not really polluted. Ganga is not polluted, right?
Visually, it does not look that polluted. No.
It doesn't look, yeah. Varanasi, you see, has improved a lot. Has become cleaner now, right? What about
2023,
Prayagraj?
Prayagraj,
Sorry?
I went in 2020. That time it was okay-ish.
And
That
now, how about now, after Kumbh?
what it might have happened. I dread to go there. So I prepare myself not to go to places which have been recently crowded.
Right.
So
Yeah,
the
it was, it was, crowd is a very, very small word, a small word for
really
that ocean of people.
fascinates me, but I'm like really scared of going to crowds.
Right. I hope they've taken care of the river again after Kumbh was over. Right. Okay. Professor Rana P. Singh is also here with us. Okay, he's from Varanasi.
I'm
Great.
a fan of one of his books. I have read his book.
Yes. So
Thank you
let's
so
read what he's saying. You want to read? Why don't you read yourself? What he has written for you.
Yes, sure.
Loudly, please, so we can all follow.
This was a great lecture of awakening, taking the Ganga as icon of Indian culture and life world. Congratulations wholeheartedly. The lectures inspired me to expand my horizon of deeper understanding the Ganga. I too have written a few papers on the Ganga in literary context. Yes, sir, I have read your works.
Yes, I
And
have also.
your works.
Yes, I've met him also. Yeah, in Kashi, I met him. Yes. Wonderful. Yeah. Any other advice? Okay, there is one more comment, I think. Okay, just read, please, loudly.
Okay. Thank you, Professor John.
Yes.
Thank you for a fascinating, really incredibly rich tour of the pretty big
Yes.
river. Too big to contain in an hour. Yeah, I can't contain it in my lifetime. So very so far teams cannot even sorry, we have to leave. Typhoons, oh my God. And flooding anticipated here.
Oh, Vietnam. Wow.
I'm so thankful that you still made time to attend this, and it really means a lot. Thank you so much.
Vietnam. Wow. He's in Vietnam.
Thank you
Wow.
so much. Thank you so
Nice.
much.
Great. Any advice you would like to share? Maybe if somebody young scholar wants to venture out, following your footsteps, maybe Sundarban. Any
I'm
advice?
out of that being a scholar mold. I think it will take me a year or two to get out of the scholar mold myself. But yeah, I think uh, as advice, I think river studies is something that I will encourage everyone to think about because with the condition of rivers and there are many like conspiracy theories surrounding that the next world war will be around water. So
Water. Yes, yes, yes.
like working on hydropolitics, be it river studies, be it the way uh, the water is politicized, what we call hydropolitics, is something that we as scholars of literature, anthropology can bring it together, and it opens a vast that in the way that we in India can expansively engage with English studies or literary studies by making it more interdisciplinary and opening up more research fields in that sense that we don't have to always depend on Eurocentric notions. We can create our own mythology in that sense because we are a riverine country and we have so many uh, like rivers and narratives to it. Why not
Yes.
just engage with it? And because we have so many theories that have come from the Western countries which have already shaped our critical understanding, and it has made us very objective of how we can approach our own heritage as well as how others perceive of our heritage. And I think we are in that frame right now where we could like have the right balance of engaging with our own culture and bringing it out to the world.
Yes, yes. Oh, also a question you have time. Um, did you find any scholarly literature on Ganga Sagar? How about Ganga Sagar itself?
Not really. Means I have found anthropological aspects of the religious tourism aspect, but not much on the narratives. I plan to go there sometimes because Ganga Sagar is on it's a bit different from the Sundarban side. So during I did not finish that side. So I of course plan to go there because that is in another sense it will be very much like Varanasi. I am very sure about.
Yes. Yes. Very nice. Right. I think these are all my questions. Anyone else has any questions? If not, we can. Okay, there is one. Oh, yeah, one more question from Paramita Dasgupta. How to integrate Ganga into IKS studies? Great question. Also.
I think you can very much incorporate Ganga in Indian knowledge systems because, as I mentioned, not only just mythical studies, means I believe that the myths, the way our myths are written, there are a lot of philosophical aspects which are embedded in it. And also, if you look at the way the Ganga and Yamuna are depicted in the temple sculptures, if you put sculptures and the sculptural representations of temple structures, so you will see that Ganga and Yamuna are on the two sides of the temple. So the temple represents the whole body, and the Garbhagriha is the Chaitanya and the Brahman to which it leads us to. So if you it just it's just a perception of how you are reading texts. So the way our mythology, our philosophy are integrated, and rivers have been a part of everything, be it our myths, be it our philosophy, be it our folk tales. Everywhere you can find the Ganga. And in Indian knowledge system, everything is about the knowledge which nature is trying to imbue in us. So I think in that sense, if you look at Ganga in the mythological sense, Ganga in the temple architecture sense, or Ganga in the yogic sense, there are a lot of scope to incorporate it within the Indian knowledge system perspective.
Yeah, I think from your work presentation, it looks like 10 books can come out of it. So,
Yeah,
Ganga in
lot,
yogic systems, Ganga
lot of
in Mangalkavya,
yes.
right? Ganga in Ganga Sagar, Ganga
Yeah.
in Sundarbans. So
Like
many huge
like
projects.
pranayam would say about prana vayu, but if our left side is Ganga and left right is Yamuna, so we have a prana Ganga in us and a prana Yamuna in us, and it's through our prana vayu that these
Yes.
intersecting rivers are channelizing our whole actions.
I had heard of Surya Nadi and Chandra Nadi. I never heard of Ganga and Yamuna as left and right.
It's
That's
a
what.
representation. If you look at the way it weaves, so the
Yeah.
nadi and nadi, and look at
Oh.
the nadis and the nadis, and look at the temple architectures. So I made that connection through that. And
Okay, they're asking for your Gmail ID. Can you please type? You can type, I think, right? She's asking your email address. So why don't you type? So enriching. So everyone is trust me.
so you can
Great.
just send me a mail. I will connect with you.
And I found her on LinkedIn. I randomly added her, and
Places.
here she is. LinkedIn is great. LinkedIn is great. LinkedIn gave me the suggestion, and I quickly implemented on it. And within, I think, 2 weeks of knowing you, connecting with you on LinkedIn, you are here presenting on our series. So nice.
And really,
All right.
thanks to be found out. To be
It
honest.
was very enriching. It is extremely enriching, insightful, inspiring, and I hope more younger scholars will, follow in your footsteps. Even Brahmaputra, I don't think anyone has worked on Brahmaputra in that region of Assam.
Assam, a lot of work is going on Brahmaputra. Yes.
Is it happening now? Okay, all right, good. Especially in English. And it's amazing that you come from English literature, but you're combining anthropology, religious studies, mythology, and field work, and it's just mind-blowing. It's just environmental humanities is what you do.
Look at our critical theories. It tells us
Right.
to beyond the disciplinary boundaries. And that is
Right,
what
exactly.
like.
It's a great example of
We are in a rhizomatic network. Like, how can we just stay separate as one discipline? Everything is there.
yes, exactly. And Sanskrit and Bengali, and since you know Bengali well, it's your mother tongue, so everything was perfect topic for you.
It's like you have to know your Bengali and your Sanskrit before you engage with. So
Yes.
I owe it to.
Yes, super. All right. Any other question? If not, I guess we can give a break to Dr. Professor Pritha Chakraborty once again. And am I pronouncing it right? Pritha Chakraborty in Bengali style pronunciation. Okay. All right. Super. Thank you so much. Thank you again. And it was extremely nice, and hope to keep in touch with you and hope to keep learning from your great work. Thank you.
And thank you everyone for being here. It's really encouraging for scholars like us who are starting our careers to have this sort of podiums. And I really hope Professor Jain keeps on doing this and engage more and more with each other. And thank you so much. Thank you for taking the time.
Thank you. Namaste.